Hey, it's Ty here with Credit Suite. In today's text training tip, we're going to be diving into your FICO credit score. And we're going to be talking about how you can easily control the second biggest aspect that makes up your credit score, which is called utilization. So your utilization affects 30% of your total FICO score, very close behind payment history or how you pay your bills, which accounts for 35% of your FICO score. So when it comes to revolving debt, credit cards, the formula looks at the difference between the high limit that you have and balances. Actually, utilization has to go with all accounts, even loans, not including credit cards. But I mentioned credit cards here because that's something easily you can control. So for example, let's say you have a MasterCard with a credit limit of $10,000, and let's say you spent $2,000 a balance on that credit card. Well, that's 20% utilization. So utilization is basically what percentage of your high credit limit you're actually using. The lower the ratio, the higher the credit score. Now, it's said that anything over 30% utilization lowers your credit score, but if you listen to the FICO experts that exist, they will tell you that you want to keep the balance as low as possible, preferably 2% or lower of your actual limits. Anything above that isn't going to help your score. Anything above 30% of the balance that you owe or of the limit that you owe could definitely hurt your score. So if you're looking for a really quick credit score boost, then pay down any accounts that you have. If you pay down accounts that you have, it's one of the easiest ways to increase your scores, as well as adding new positive credit having your limits increased on the accounts that you have. So with FICO scores, I mentioned 35% of your credit score is based on utilization, trailing right behind the biggest aspect of your credit score, which is payment history. Okay, utilization is the second heaviest weighted aspect of your FICO score. This means if you're overutilizing your revolving accounts, you literally can damage your credit scores almost as much as if you paid the accounts late every month. Anything over 30% of your limit being used will lower your scores. Some say this is a myth, but the bottom line is the lower that the utilization that you have, the better you are. Try to keep it below 2%. That's the one thing all the experts agree with. Adding credit cards to your credit report with high credit limits can also significantly and quickly raise your credit score, sometimes as much as 100 points or more. Here's a pretty cool account here, creditsuite.com/new-credit, and this is a jeweler card. You can use this at their online store, but what's cool about it is they will give you a credit regardless of your personal credit quality. It's a $5,000 limit account, and the minute account like that hits your credit scores, I have seen personally, historically, very large increases to the credit scores. As a matter of fact, when I used to own a consumer credit company, this was one of the biggest things we did was we had people come and get this kind of account. They had bad credit. They added a $5,000 credit account to their credit report. It's not $5,000 you can use anywhere. You can only buy jewelry in this one store. But it's not about what you can buy with it. What it's a matter is adding $5,000 in available credit. And that available credit really increases this utilization aspect of your score. You have a really high limit, a really low balance, and then you've got 30% utilization that is based on the amount of available credit you have. So when you add $5,000 of available credit, I've seen historically that it does wonders to really raise your score. And you can take here, they've got a fee to get started, but they'll approve you regardless of personal credit, and it reports to all three reporting agencies. So a pretty cool hack right there. One more important tidbit, closed accounts do not help and cannot hurt if there is a balance remaining, okay? So that's not going to impact your score if the account is actually closed. A long myth, perpetuated myth, has been to close accounts that are not in use, but this actually can hurt you in a lot of different ways, because if you close accounts you're not using, it impacts your utilization, okay, and you also are adversely impacting the length of credit history, how long you've had credit history for, and you're removing the benefit of that payment history. So by closing accounts you're not using anymore, you literally can be hurting about 80% of your consumer credit score. So something you want to stay away from. I just had this exact same conversation with my brother-in-law. As a matter of fact, he asked me about closing accounts. I said, absolutely not, because you're adversely affecting 80% of your credit scores. So as you know now, overall, an individual account utilization plays a major role in your credit scoring. So if you close those accounts, that could really hurt you as well as everything else we've talked about. Look, credit scores are important when it comes to business loans, but we also have a lot of business loans and business credit that aren't based on credit history. So if you have any questions, want to talk more about the the financing and credit you can get for your business, schedule some time with us to talk more. creditsuite.com/consult.